There we go. Going live. I think we're in. Brilliant. So, welcome to Mind Warrior podcast on this Monday on behalf of the Mental Health Warriors. So, as you know, we use these podcasts to talk about mental well-being and normalize mental health issues, be part of a community, support each other, and also just discuss things that could help or that you can relate to. And I think we've got a good one today that everyone can relate to, actually. So, in a moment, I'm going to be welcoming Vida. Hi. Who's a transformational and lifestyle coach. And so in a moment, we'll be talking about our own mental wellbeing journeys and the impact of limiting beliefs, lack of confidence, as well as how you empower yourself to change your life. So I think that's going to be really powerful. So before we go into the show, I'm going to play the short intro film. So I'll play that now. We've got a new one from last time. Brilliant. It's always cute, the dog, isn't it? It's always nice with the dog. So, welcome again. For anyone who's going to be watching live, you can put any questions in the chat if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, and we can answer those as we go along. So, hello, Ella. How are you doing? I'm looking forward to this.
Good, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. So, it'd be good for you to just introduce yourself briefly, and then we can kind of go into your background a bit more.
Sure, absolutely. So I'm Vida. I'm a transformational lifestyle and business coach, and I teach people how to create an online course from scratch. So even if you haven't got an idea of what to teach, and how to then gain passive income and then create the life that they want.
That's what we all want, isn't it? We want the life of our dreams.
Absolutely.
But I guess from your background, I guess you didn't really see yourself getting here, when you were much younger, because you had, like you said, and we've talked about before, grew up on a council estate and had lots of kind of bullied, the same as me, and that can have such an impact on what you believe to be sort of true of yourself. So how did you, tell me a bit more about your upbringing and how that kind of shaped you, or did you let it not define you?
Yeah, I let it not define me at all. I was really stubborn. I've always been really stubborn. But it was hard, I want to say I was quite a sensitive kid, but I don't even think that it really exists, the whole that we're sensitive. I think that's just sometimes a label that people give us. And I think, for me personally, I always found it quite hard. I was brought up as a teenager on a council estate. And where I lived in Leicestershire, it was a hosiery industry. So all my family worked in the hosiery. So everyone, left school at 16 and went into a factory. Some of them had families quite young. And that was just kind of what you did, And I remember, because I was bullied at school, I went to 4 different secondary schools and got bullied at pretty much every one of them, and I just didn't want to go to school anymore, and so I started just hiding out at home. I became a hermit and I hid at home. I remember my nan and granddad and my mum, who I lived with, they would leave for work early and I would sit there watching. Do you remember The Big Breakfast with Chris Evans? I remember watching The Big Breakfast and just not wanting to go, just being in fear. And then you're looking at the clock, and then at 9 o'clock, I was thinking, oh, they're all in assembly now, and I feel really bad. But I left school with no qualifications. And I remember leaving and thinking, is this it? I wanted to, when I was a young kid, I wanted to be a singer, I wanted to be an actress. I thought I was going to move to London and I was going to see my name in lights and all this. And then suddenly I leave school. I haven't sung for years. I'm really scared to sing in front of anyone or do anything like that at all. And I went for a job in a greasy spoon at the age of 16. And I remember getting home and just thinking, this is not the life I want. I just went into a panic. I thought, this is not it. This is not a life I want. And it really freaked me out. And I had
Did
a
you
group
still
of
have that? Sorry, I was just going to say, did you still have that belief that this is what you're going to do? Sort of go down to London now, naming lights, even when
no
you were
way.
bullied? Because did that kind of like knock all the confidence out of you?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I remember the only place I never fitted in at school, and the only place I fitted in was theatre. I went to this theatre
Mm.
group, and it was the only place where I really fitted in, and I feel I could really be myself, because
Yeah.
I like to be quite kind of like, stagey and flamboyant, and kids at school, they just don't like that. It's not seen
Yeah.
as normal, and so I kind of find like I'd found my tribe. And then I didn't get through. I failed an audition and I didn't get through, and that was it. And I was 12, I think, at the time. I
Yeah.
was mortified, and that was it. And then I
Yeah.
had a couple of people just messing about, just family members messing about and stuff, just saying things like, "Oh, you sound like a strangled cat." Oh, and that was it for me. I just thought, well, I can't sing, I can't do that, I can't do anything.
Isn't
And
it so strange how it's like one or two events, like, one audition that was failed, a couple of people saying something, but when they're negative, that stays with you for years and years. But I'm sure
yeah.
there's loads of positive things that people said, but we kind of like, yeah, we forget about those.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's always negative ones that we remember.
Yeah.
And I gave up singing for years and years. I mean, I literally, as you know, I moved to Loughborough because I had some older friends when I was about 15, 16 that I was hanging out with that were musicians. And one of my elder friends, he said to me, "You like travel, don't you? You're always talking about holidays." And at the time, I really wanted to live in Cyprus. And he was saying, "Yeah, you like travel, don't you? Why don't you go to Loughborough and do a travel and tourism course?" So I sacked off the greasy spoon. My
Yeah.
dad said
It
to
wasn't
me,
hard.
yeah, my dad
Yeah.
said to me, "I'll pay for your halls of residence for 10 months then. Go on, go off to college."
Yeah.
Although it was weird because a lot of my family didn't want me to do that. My nan was like, "What are you doing? Like, you're getting ideas above your station. What do you think you're doing? Going to college? Like, who do you think you are? Just get in
Yeah.
the blooming factory and start working, will you? What are you talking about?
That's what
Going to
everybody
college?"
does. That's what all the
Yeah,
family does. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And I remember Loughborough was a massive eye opener for me. It really was, because it's a university town. So you meet people from all over. So
Yeah.
it wasn't just people that were brought up in that kind of working class mentality of you just leave school at 16 and go and get a job in a factory. There
Yeah.
was just people from all over that, and then a lot of them were older than me. They were all doing degrees. So I always still felt like this kind of, this thick girl that
Yeah.
just kind of appeared at parties with all these really clever people from like London and down south, and they all spoke really nicely, and they were all doing degrees, and some of them had been to Eton, and I remember once walking in this place,
I
and
don't think people be from Eton at Loughborough. Who was that? I don't remember them.
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
but I remember walking in this one place, and there was a group of girls, and I was really scared because I always got on better with blokes because I was bullied by girls at school. So I remember going into this group of girls, and I felt really nervous. And I remember sitting down, obviously quite gracefully, and one of these rather posh ladies turned around and said to me, "Oh, are you a ballet dancer?" And I thought, "What?" I felt like saying, no, I'm nearly a factory worker working a greasy spoon, And
Yeah.
I just said, "Oh, no, I'm not." She goes, "Oh, it's just the way that." I said, "Is it because my hair's scraped back?" She said, "Oh, no, I think it's just the way you just so elegantly sat down." And I thought, "Oh, okay." So
It's weird, isn't it? We make the assumptions in our minds, and then actually what other people think. It's
yeah.
just. But how did so what were your beliefs about yourself? When you went through that being sort of bullied and then going somewhere where you kind of didn't feel like you ever fitted in. What were your kind of beliefs about yourselves that you kind of put yourself in? What box did you put yourself in?
I was thick. That was the
Yeah.
first thing I thought. I thought I was thick. I left school with no qualifications. I was around all these people that had not just GCSEs, they had A levels, they were doing a degree, they were focused. Well, most of them were focused. Some of them weren't, some of them weren't. But they were focused. They had a mission, they had a goal, they kind of knew what they were doing, and they
Yeah.
just seemed much more worldly wide and intelligent. And I just felt like this little Leicester girl that was just,
Yeah.
you know, there was lucky enough to be hanging out with them, you know. And I remember saying to one of my friends, and we had a very different background to each other. And I remember we were sitting in the car and I said to her, you know, I just feel really thick. I'm just, you know, she said, Ella, you could go and do a degree. Why do you think that you can't go and do a degree? You could do a degree if you wanted to do a degree. And I was like, oh, I can't do a degree. She said, why not? And I said, because I'm thick. And she said, you're not thick. In fact, you're one of the most intelligent people I've met. And you're certainly a lot more worldly wise than some of these lot. And I thought, well, yeah. But, you know.
It's where you're born and you're, you know, it's your experience, isn't it? And, you know, some people are given more chances and told that this is the life that they can lead, and other people are like, this is your life, and just everybody else's belief, we take it on. We just take it on, don't we? And then did you have an aha moment? Was there a point where you just thought, do you know what? To hell with what everybody else thinks. Do you know what? Now, actually, I am intelligent and I can do whatever I want. Was that kind of epiphany, or was it like a gradual kind of learning?
No, I had two. I had two main ones. The first one was so my first boyfriend when I was about 21, and we were both really kind of a bit insecure and a bit, you know, and he apparently I'd given him the confidence in himself to go out. He got an engineering degree and he went out and got this great job as a telecoms engineer. And I was working in a call center. And then he got kind of, because they were sending them because they were doing, it was just before 3G came out and all that, and 2G. So he was the first ones to roll those out. And so we were going to be going abroad somewhere. So he said, well, why don't you come with me, you know, wherever it is? And we thought it was going to be Europe. And then they gave him the first post and it was China. And I remember he said, oh, you better sit down. And I was across the table going, just tell me. And he said, you really need to sit down. And I was like, okay. And he said, China. And I was like, China? I thought we were going to France or something. You know, I was like, China. And I remember pulling the map out and going, it's really far. And I thought, okay, well, let's do it. Let's go to China. So I remember, you know, my favorite David Bowie song was China Girl. That's all I knew. I was like, oh, I like Chinese.
Right, I'll go.
And what
gave you that confidence? You know, what gave you that confidence to do that when it was someone that was like, your life's going to be here, it's going to be in Leicester, it's going to be the factory, this is what it's going to be like, and suddenly China is literally a world apart.
And also,
where did you get that confidence to do it?
Well, because he just said, oh, just come with me. And I didn't necessarily have to do anything. I could have just gone with him. The company he worked with paid for accommodation and everything. I just need to find my own flight. But our accommodation, food, bills, everything was paid for. So he was like, just come over and just... And obviously I didn't think I'm just going to go over and be some kind of housewife. And I knew that wasn't me either. So I thought, what can I do out there? And I thought, all I could do is teach. Why don't I try and teach English? So I signed up to a TEFL course, and it was at the Royal Holloway University in Egham, in Surrey, and which is a really nice university, and was full of mainly university students from there. And I rock up again, still got no qualifications, and I had to do this 4-week course. And you know, a lot of people there, they had their own kind of support network, they had their own friends and everything. I was staying in like a B&B, and I was having to do all this work myself, and we were all up really late. I had a diet of Red Bull, half my hair fell out. I was so stressed. I remember going in there, and there was this girl, and she was so articulate, and she kept coming out with all these really complicated words. And I sat there and I thought,
I don't know what any of those mean.
I don't even understand what anyone's saying. It's like they were talking a completely different language. And I thought, I can't even understand what she's saying. I can't teach English. And I remember my boyfriend rang me. He was already in China, and I was meeting up with him out there. And I just burst into tears. I said, oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm too thick. And he's like, no, you can. And I said, I don't even know what this girl is saying. I don't even understand what words she's using. And he said to me, don't worry, she's just blagging it. She's just trying to sound like she knows what she's doing. And I was like, no, she
Yeah.
really doesn't know. I don't know anything. And everyone nods, like everyone understands. And he went, you'll see, just keep going, just keep going. So I
Yeah.
kept going. It's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life, but I kept going. He turned out to be right. But I remember this girl about 3 weeks in, she threw her toys, bless her, and she said to us all, I mean, I can't believe this. They're asking us to write this huge essay. I mean, it's the size of a dissertation, and I'm only in year 2. And I turned around and said, I don't even have any GCSEs. And I didn't. Yeah, she was really shocked. Like, what are you doing here then? And I got through it. And that, to me, that just proved, you know what? Maybe my friend was right. So, to our mutual friend Suzanne, thank you. So, because I thought, God, maybe she's right. Maybe I can do this. So that was definitely the first one. And then the second one was when we came back from, or we went to China and Holland. And when we came back, well, I was in Holland, and we didn't know how long we were going to be there. They didn't know how long the contract was going to be. So I was unable to find work. So I sat there being a housewife, and it was the most boring thing ever. Now, I don't iron clothes for dear life. And I was so bored. I was ironing my housemates' socks. I was so bored. So there I was in this beautiful apartment in The Hague, ironing my housemates' socks. And I was watching TMF, like the MTV thing.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing this woman called Alaya, who unfortunately is not with us anymore. I think she died not long after in a tragic plane crash. But she came out with this song called More Than a Woman.
Yeah.
And it was
I
really
remember.
cool R&B. You remember?
Yeah.
And she's there. She's really cool. She's getting on the bike and she's singing. And I just thought, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I love this song. I love R&B. I love this song. I love what this woman is about. And I thought, this is what I want to do. Because I sat there thinking, what am I doing with my life? I'm 23 nearly, and I don't just want to be a housewife, and I haven't really got any interest or anything. I still don't know what I want to do. I was still looking for that passion, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was still scared to sing in front of anybody. But when we came back to England, we moved to Bristol, and I just remember thinking, do you know what? I don't care if I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on this. I don't care if I'm rubbish. Let's say that. I don't care if I'm rubbish. You know what? If I'm rubbish, I'm rubbish. But I think I just got to the point where I thought, I'm so passionate about this.
Yeah.
If I don't try, I'll never know. At least if I try and I'm rubbish, at least I can try and get better. Maybe I'll just take some lessons and try and get better.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did.
And I think you've hit the nail on the head there for like, how do we start to switch how we feel about ourselves and get that confidence? And there's 2 things. The first one that you said, just do it, just do something. As soon as you start to do something, get that bravery, get that courage to get the ball rolling and go, do you know what? I'm going to stick something out. I'm just going to try something. Then you kind of go, I did that. The world didn't implode. I can try something else. And the other thing you said there was find something that you're passionate about. It's the inspiration, isn't it? So, but sometimes we don't know what our inspiration is, but you won't know until you try different things. And then we'll sort of get out there, experience more.
And stop being a perfectionist. That was my problem. I thought that if I was going to try something, I had to be amazing at it, that I couldn't just try. And then I forgot. In fact, it was only the other day I was telling my husband that I got a trophy at school for courage and perseverance. So, I should take that tool into my life with me from primary school with my little courage and perseverance cup. Well, she does try. So I thought, well, you know what? I'll just keep trying. And it was just that, because usually it's always the fear of failure, isn't it? It's a fear of failure. It's a fear of, of looking silly in front of other people or being judged. And I think I just got to the point where I thought, just do what you want to do,
No one else cares. And also, the thing when you like people will say long words in like business situations, corporate, and actually if you call them out and go, what does that mean? Everyone in the room kind of goes, I'm glad you said that, because I've been working for this company for 5 years and I've got
Yeah.
no idea. So nobody knows. And we always think, like you say, perfectionists, we've got to know all this, we've got to have every qualification, we've got to, nobody else knows. Everyone else is blagging it.
Yeah,
Once you
exactly.
realize that, it's like, oh, right, okay. And I think that, one of the mental health warriors team is just, hi, Facebook user is just saying hi. It might be Adam, but one of the mental health warriors is that question about why do we find it so easy to be that inner critic? And do you think we've been programmed to believe it? It is that programming, isn't it, from what everybody else says when you're growing up?
Absolutely, absolutely. So there's the different programs, isn't there, with limiting beliefs. So for example, there's like your personal belief, so something that you've experienced personally, and it's something, I suppose it used to be the inbuilt fight or flight of, oh, there's a saber-toothed tiger there, oh, better not get eaten. But now it's turned into fight or flight just with stressful things, or
scrolling,
especially
comparisons on social media, alert, fight or flight all the time.
Yeah, and especially social circles, because we are social beings, and we need that interaction with people. So it's the belonging as well. So, and I think, and then because of that belonging, and then there's like inherited belief systems as well, because I think with limiting beliefs, and I love working with limiting beliefs, because and I worked a lot with this as a vocal coach. So after singing, I got into being a vocal coach for 20 years part-time, and sometimes full-time, and all of my students, bar none, every single one of my students came in and was like, I can't sing. I can't sing. I'm not really very good. And even, if you're out in a pub and someone says, oh, what do you do? And I say, oh, I'm a vocal coach. Oh, you don't want to hear me sing. Oh, and if I had £1 for every time somebody said that to me, I'd be so rich. And it was always because they've been told by someone, generally at school. There was a lot of people that got told by the school teacher, when they were all singing, maybe you just be a bit quiet because you're not very good, or maybe you just mime. Don't spoil it for everybody else. You just mime and pretend you're singing. Or it's, sibling rivalry, siblings taking the mickey, or it's friends saying, oh, what a rubbish singer you are. And, and I had a bit of that as well. Even as a teenager in Loughborough, actually, I was so scared of singing and, living in shared houses. And I had one of my housemates heard me singing, and straight away he was on it. Oh, you so rubbish, And again, it puts you back into your little box again. And the thing is, why should we, when we start to really think, okay, well, I used to say to my students, well, why do you think that? Oh, because someone told me. Well, who told you?
Someone else's voice. Because that's what I say to my clients. I'm like, that's not your voice. That's not your belief. That's somebody else's belief that now you've taken on, and actually give it to them back. There's no truth in it. It's just a thought. It's just a belief, and you can easily change it, can't you?
Yes, and it's not you, is it? It's external. It's external to you. So why should what you believe about yourself be based on somebody else's belief of you? It should be on your own. You better than anybody else. So you shouldn't be saying things about yourself that's just somebody else's opinion. And sometimes it's not even somebody else's opinion. Sometimes it could even just be jealousy. It could be something said in jest if someone was in a mood. But we take these things on
their problem, isn't it? Like, hold the mirror up. It's usually you've got the issue. It is usually jealousy. So now I'm just like that. Hold the mirror up. That's your issue. It's not mine. And actually, if we can get to a place where we look internally for what we believe in, rather than the external world, the external validation, everything. If we can just go, oh, I'm happy being me, and it does seem to take you to later on in life to figure that out.
I know.
That's a great place to be, isn't it?
Absolutely. It really is.
And so what about sort of keeping in this good mindset, keeping in this good place? What's your, tell me about your self-care routine, because you've got tea and positivity in the mornings. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so Tea and Positivity was a Facebook group that I set up in, I think it was in November, and I was I was only going to do it for a week. I think I was going to do it for a week, 2 weeks, and I thought, yeah, I'm going to go live every morning at half past. Well, actually, it was 6:30 originally. I don't know what. I don't, what on earth. 6:30. I'm really not a morning person for anyone out there who doesn't know me as well. It's not like I'm up at 5 or anything. But it was great for my accountability of getting up in the morning because I had something to get up for and get in front of the screen. But yeah, so 7:30 Team Positivity, and I started doing it, and I thought I'll just run it for a week or two, just for the sake of it, see how it goes, because it was just something that I really enjoyed doing as a motivational speaker.
Yeah.
And then, although I initially was going far too deep, far too early in the morning, and for quite a long time, and I thought, okay, I don't really think everyone wants to go that deep when they get up in the morning for 45 minutes. So I got it down to 10 minutes of just tea and positivity. So having a cup of tea in the morning, you've got 10 minutes and we either look at things like limiting beliefs,
Yeah.
how to get positive, how to be focused, how to stop procrastinating. And sometimes we're just really gentle with ourselves and we just do a bit of meditation. And I
Yeah.
think meditation is one of the biggest things for me, especially, for everyone. I think everyone should do some form of meditation.
Yeah.
And I just mean, even if it's just 5 minutes with your eyes closed, taking
Yeah.
the attention to your breath. I think
Yeah.
just getting yourself out of a fight or flight or out of a past, because your brain can't tell the difference.
Stopping and not having a million things to do, because that is not what meditation is. It's a focus on one thing. So focusing on your breath, focusing on one thing, focusing. You can even do it, because I always struggle with it. I'd love to be able to meditate for an hour, but I don't have the time, too busy. So I'm like, what little tiny things? And even if it is, I just think, well, okay, I'm walking somewhere, but I'm going to be really focused on, I'm going to be very mindful, looking at the trees. What can I feel? What can I hear? What can I see? Just being more mindful rather than the to-do list. But it's so important, isn't it, to just bring something in. And I think the tea and positivity is brilliant because it's the beginning of the day. And I find that how you start your day has a massive impact on how the rest of the day goes.
Absolutely. And not even just, and I love the fact that I can do that for other people. But not only that, I'll be honest, it's great accountability for me too, because it makes me sit down and do it as well. And, and I loved it so much. After 2 weeks, get to the weekend and I was almost thinking, oh, no tea and positivity this morning. I mean, why would you want to get up at 6 in the morning on a Saturday and Sunday? But yeah, I just loved it, and so I'm still doing it. So it's been going now for 3 months, and it was something that should have only been going for a week, and I absolutely love it.
And is it daily? And if people want to join the Facebook group, what do they just? I mean, we can send out the link after this, but tea and positivity, basically.
Absolutely, yeah. So Tea Positivity with Vida, it's a Facebook group. It's mainly aimed at women at the moment, but I'm thinking I'm going to do a mixed one as well. Because I've mainly been working with female entrepreneurs, so I'd kind of done it for them originally, but anybody can join. And it's just 10 minutes in the morning at 7:30 every weekday. And it's just a really nice way to start the day.
It is. And Annette said as well, totally agree. Meditation is such a key factor in our mental wellness. It is, isn't it? It really is. But before we finish up, I just wanted to talk about your course as well. So you're on, because it sounds like it's not just about sort of finding your passion, which is so important, like finding your passion, to be able to get money in from your passion has such an impact on your mental well-being. But you've taken all of your experience and all the training and, so much, and pulled together this kind of online course, looking at mindset and kind of as well. So tell us about, tell us a bit more about that.
So what I wanted to do, because of my background, and I'd noticed with my mom and my nan both working in factories and stuff, I just felt like a lot of women don't feel confident enough to be able to start their own businesses. And I thought with online coaching, it could be, I say it's the easiest thing to do. It can be quite difficult, but it's the easiest thing to do in the way of, people might think, well, I don't have a subject, or I don't know what I'm passionate about. So we actually cover that. And then what we do is we create a whole course from scratch. So I teach people how to set up their online business, how to do things like an analysis on the competitors, how to find out what their passion is. And it's amazing what people can teach about. You know, you might think, oh, well, I haven't got anything to teach, or I might not have any qualifications, but it might be even something that you've been through. It might be that you're in a happy marriage and you want to give people advice on a happy marriage. It could be how to survive after divorce or grief, or so it can be a very feeling based kind of thing. It can be absolutely anything. It could be skills of, you know, being an admin for years and really liking Excel spreadsheets, which I don't like, but I do know a few people that are really into that. And because I'm rubbish at it, I'd love to do a course where someone just kind of takes it and go, oh yeah, do this and this and put this formula in, and you know, or sort out my diary, teach me how to be more productive as a business owner. So there's so many things that you can teach. It can be sports, it can be about diet, exercise. You don't necessarily have to be educated in it either. So, you know, it can be something really, really niche. You know, it can be a certain type of dog training or anything. But I just wanted to be able to give women the courage and the platform to be able to come forward and to write their course, and I guide them through the whole process. So their social media, how to write their course, how to promote and deliver the course in the 10-week course that I've put together, so that by the end of the 10 weeks, they've set up their business. Not only have they found out what they're passionate about, they've wrote the course, they've promoted the course, they've delivered the course. And at the end of the 10 weeks, they've got it all set up, and then they can just start selling that course and gaining passive income.
Brilliant. And, you know, that's amazing to be able to, because it will be whatever your passion is and whatever your experience is. So when you can find that and then sort of channel that and then, you know, get financially rewarded for it, amazing. No, that's really good. And have you got a masterclass coming up as well? Or were you planning another masterclass? I think you mentioned.
I am, yes. I'm going to be planning a masterclass in a couple of weeks. What I'm asking people to do is, if they're interested in joining the signature program, which is called Ignite with Ella, then if they go on my website, ellavida.com, they can go to the courses section and then click on, at the moment it will say join the waitlist. So when you go into that waitlist, or you can subscribe, we'll let you know about all the masterclasses that are coming up. So there'll be some free masterclasses coming up. There'll be shorter courses that you can do, say, for example, in social media, particularly in things like Pinterest or how to use Canva. And then we've also got the 10-week signature course as well, which we've got some great deals of this time round.
Brilliant. I can see that Kat's in the comments saying that's great. So that was who I was hooking you two up. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Brilliant. That would be really good. Brilliant. And that all sounds amazing. I will send around your contact details around in a follow-up post anyway, in case anyone wants to follow up on that. But thank you so much for your time, Mary. It's been really great chatting to you. So inspirational hearing about all your backgrounds and how you're, you know, found your passion sort of later on in life, the same as me. So it's, thank you for your time.
And can I just say as well, before we go, for anybody here that might even think about at any point having a hypnotherapy session with Lisa gave me a hypnotherapy session online, and it was amazing. It was so good. And we talked a lot about money mindset, didn't we, in particular? Yes. And it just changed everything for me. It's been absolutely amazing. So I wanted to say thank you so much for that as well.
Thank you, Ella. I really enjoyed that. I really love seeing those shifts. So no, that's amazing. Good. So thank you for your kind words there. Thank you everyone for listening. For anyone that's listening back. There's going to be the next show is in a couple of weeks. So in 2 Mondays' time, I'm going to be having Hannah on for that, who's a holistic health coach. So she looks at how we can support our mental health and also, you know, our mental well-being through lifestyle and nutrition. So that's really good. So the sort of impacts there on mental well-being. So she'll be on in a couple of weeks, and I'll send around some details about that. But before I just click on to the ending credits, just thank you again, Ella, and thanks to everyone for listening.
Thank you very much.